that you are the future of our community. And we need for you to be those thought leaders of your generation. And that's the message I would give to parents, that in our children is hope, and we need to give them hope every single day.
Thank you. Yeah, reiterating what Dr. Contreras said, this notion of hope, the reason why I think all of us are here are because we had that hope instilled in us at home first. But I think knowing that as parents, it is a very difficult time to be within the education system right now, especially thinking about immigration status in particular. But knowing that there is a community, right? There's a community out there, there's advocates, there's activists, there's individuals, there's organizations, so that if you are in need, to be able to be ready to reach out, and there will be someone there to support you, because our parents are amazing and they're brave and for doing everything that they do and doing all of the work that they do already. So.
And to hear all of your stories as immigrant children, really, where you are now, I'm sure is hoping that people who need to hear this are listening. Same question.
For the last 16 years, our campus has worked for a tutoring mentoring program, and we work with parents. And the one thing that we try to make sure that the parents understand is education is their right, and that they can, make sure they stay informed, make sure they work with us, as Dr. Acevedo said, make sure that you're connected to community resources. There's always somebody in the community and the university who will always make sure you have what you need.
I want to stress the fact that it's really important to acknowledge that this is a normal response to the political climate. I recall when the first day happened that apparently I'm in Irvine, but next to Santa Ana. And the next day after Trump was elected, I went to spend some time with about 40 Latina mothers. These women talked about how their children stayed up to watch the election results, and how once they saw this, they were crying. One child went and picked up their bag from the closet because they said, I know I'm going to have to leave now. So these are psychological stressors that these children contend with every day, and we cannot minimize that. We need to be able to help them heal, help them communicate, give them a protective space. And I think it's really important parents engage in this conversation and not minimize that, because there can be a lot of psychological trauma if not addressed. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you so much. That's so important, I think. Oh, there we go. I think it's so important, too, because when a student walks into a classroom environment, they ought to be able to focus on the material being presented. And what we're seeing more and more in our communities is this concern over whether mom and dad are safe. Or am I going to be separated from my tío or my tía even? And sometimes they aren't overtly talking about this at home, but they hear it on the news and they're holding it. So I think in our spaces of education to create a space where we talk about these things. And what better example than all of you who spoke today. I have to tell you, so inspired by all of you. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Okay. I'll see you guys at lunch, hopefully. Okay. Thank you so much. Oh, great to meet you. Well, this is such an exciting day. I'm so proud of all the Latinas in this room, all the Latinos too, supporting us as well. Something that I took away from something that was brought up from Dr. Nancy Acevedo Gill, who brought up 4 out of 100 students, our grad students, our Latino grad students. I think we need to raise those numbers. The other thing we talked about here is this Eurocentric influence in education and how it can be isolating. So a lot of different themes. Are we still good, guys? How are we doing? Yes? Okay, awesome. The other thing that I'm hearing a lot about is mentorship and how important that is. And I love some of the tips that were presented today about mentorship, because I know we always think about mentorship as the mentee being younger, but what was interesting today is this idea of doing a peer mentorship. And then carrying it on through generation and generation. So that was also a great takeaway. And just making the most of our purpose and our history. Aaron is back.
Yes, I'm here.
You have to turn that on, though.
Yes, we're welcoming you, each and every one of you. We're watching the live stream, and we appreciate your patience as we stream and stream off and stream back. But always stay tuned to our Facebook page. It's the Latino Education Advocacy Days live stream there, as well as our YouTube
Yes, we're
Yes.
on YouTube.
Yes,
This is
we're
the
on
Lead
YouTube
Summit
as well. Yeah.
2018.
I tweeted that, by the way, so make sure if you're on Twitter to retweet. You can find me at Aaron M. Sanchez. You can find
You forgot.
at Tweet Jeanette.
Yes, and
I
it's
remember.
2 N's and 2 T's.
Yes, this is
we
important.
are receivers of this lovely medallion.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. I'm
Yes,
so honored.
we were honored last night
Yes.
at this special banquet with our medallions. Every year, I'm gonna confess a little confessional here. Every year, I've seen people get their medallions, and I thought, what does it take to get one of those? And usually, it's a really very high honor. You know, they've done a lot.
Yes.
And I said, again, what does it take to get one of those? And I never hinted at it. But it's nice to get it after the 9th year of doing this,
He
which
sent
we've
an
done it from the very
anonymous
beginning.
email.
I know a little. I would like to honor the Jeanette Sandoval, Jose Luis Sedano, who also got one as well, and of course James Trotter for being
Yes,
back there.
James.
Actually, he is the one behind the scenes doing and making us look good. So we want to acknowledge the entire team because it takes
Absolutely.
an entire team to do exactly that. And especially not to be in our shots.
So you're
Jose
watching
Luis,
the
our biggest
live
fan.
stream for the Lead Summit 2018. This is the Viva la Mujer version of Lead.
Yes,
So
yes,
awesome.
it is. Yes, and what a great event we have had, right? Some of the great speakers that we've
Awesome.
been
I
having.
really
Also-
enjoyed that panel.
Also, big shout out to University of Buffalo, I believe, who's tuning in. And big shout out to you guys. Also, those of you that are across the country, thank you for participating as well. We're looking forward to a lot of your tweets. And do message us on our live stream as well. And we can ask the questions of the guests that are up here if you have any questions.
And I would love to open up the dialogue about what does social responsibility look like for you, viewers that are
Great
listening.
question. Yeah.
If you have any ideas, we'd love to present them on the live stream. So social responsibility, what does that look like in our community?
And what does that look like in our community as of right now?
Well, I think
What have we learned so far?
I think today I really thought about the power of mentorship.
Yes.
And I think sometimes, admittedly, people have come in and out of my life and I'm thinking, I don't know that I'm the right person for them, or maybe they need to wait for the right mentor. And I think there's no time like the present.
Right.
If there are Latinos, that are in your space that you can encourage, I think today is a good example of the power of mentorship.
Yes, very much so. And again, the dialogue that's happening today is one of which is very important to be had. Obviously, it could stop here, but being what LEAD has done every year is create a lot of leaders and give them the proper information to go out there and help others in their communities, wherever they are across the U.S. and internationally, which is why this live stream is so important for you to share even after we are done with
Absolutely.
today. It's how you spread the message further on. We also want to say to those of you tuning in right now, give us a little like, give us a heart, give us
Give us a heart with all this love in the room.
I know, right? Yeah, let's see some hearts there as well. Big shout out to Rachel Carmona, who's joining us,
Rachel.
Alex Guerrero, and many more who are tuning in.
And if you're listening, you might be thinking, this teen doesn't seem that interested, or this young person doesn't have time. But I just want to encourage everyone to not give up on them, because I know there was somebody that didn't give up on me, and I think that's important.
You know, that's a very good point, because sometimes, especially in the high school level, right, we see a lot that are kind of sometimes I would say there's almost like, why am I here? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And they hear time and time again, go to college, get at university. But we've seen that the numbers are significantly down. I believe last night a number that was thrown out, and I don't want to quote it, but I remember it was around 20%.
Wow.
That actually of Latinos that actually have a degree but haven't done that. So
I think we're
it's
coming
that
back
time
here.
for our next segment here at the Latino Education and Advocacy Days 2018.
Que
with
viva la
Professor,
mujer.
yes, Enrique Murillo.
Right back at you.
All right. Que vive la mujer. Que vive la mujer. Fist in the air. Que vive la mujer. Viva. Okay. Looks like we're ready. Thank you. Please take your seats. Next, we have Audrey, who will introduce our next speakers. Audrey Baca is an educational consultant and currently a doctoral candidate, cohort 10, in the there you go, in the Educational Leadership Program here at CSUSB. So Audrey, all yours. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Enrique. Mia Rosales St. John is a first-generation U.S.-born Latina. She is a model, businesswoman, and 5-time world boxing champion. Her fighting career, yes? Right? Her fighting career started at the age of 6 with Taekwondo. She has subsequently achieved a black belt. She has also earned a bachelor's degree in psychology from California State University, Northridge. Mia speaks in schools and juvenile detention centers about the importance of attaining an education and fighting battles such as mental illness, addiction, and poverty. Paris Nicole St. John, Mia's youngest daughter, is a singer, songwriter, mental health advocate, and youth mentor. She is a graduate of Boston's Berklee School of Music. Paris has advocated for mental health awareness to empower young women at several college campuses throughout the nation. Both women continue their mental health advocacy through Mia's nonprofit foundation, Saber es Poder. Knowledge is power.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad to see so many people here. How exciting. Viva la mujer. Viva. You know, when I first started boxing, way back in 1996, they didn't even allow women in the gyms. I know, if you can believe that, it was only 1996. They said that we wouldn't be able to withstand the pain. And I'm here as a 5-time world champion, 20 years professional, 20 years amateur. Don't start adding up my age. 70 pro fights. I withstood discrimination. I was in a man's sport. I suffered many broken noses, broken cheekbones, my eyelids split open many times, 27 stitches here, 30 stitches there, 12, 9, on and on and on. I can't even count the concussions I endured over a 20-year period. I've had 3 major surgeries after I retired last year. Both my hips are prosthetics. So to say that we couldn't withstand it, I think I withstood a lot more than most pro men that I know. So that's female power for you. And we had to put up with men, so I deserve credit for that alone. You know, my career was such a passion of mine. It was the love of my life. And for any athlete to end their career is devastating. And I was no different. I was devastated when my career ended a year ago. But I realized that there was a greater purpose waiting for me, that boxing was just a vehicle to take me where I was really destined to be. What I did after my career was far more significant than winning 5 world titles. Because I looked back on my career and I felt like, okay, so when I die, I can look back and say, what did I do? I kicked people's asses. Like, why? Honestly, like, why was that so significant? It really wasn't. It's what I would do with my career. And so, first I want to tell you, my mother, because I owe this to my mother, and sometimes I forget to give credit where credit is due, but my mother, who was born and raised in Juchipila, Mexico, how many people know where that is? It's in the state of Zacatecas, Juchipila, Barrio de la Cantera. If you were from La Cantera, you're probably related to me, I'm sure. Everybody in that barrio is my family. But she's the one who made me get a degree before I turned pro. Because I remember spending many, many years in the amateurs and going to her one day and said, Mom, I'm going to turn pro. And she said, oh, hell no. You're going to get a college degree first, and then you can go pro. And even though I was of age, I could have done what I wanted. That's just Latinos, we kind of do what our parents tell us to do. My mom also carried around, she had a shoe, the famous shoe. And I know you know what I'm talking about. So I was like, okay, Mom. So I did go to college. She always said, I did not bring you kids here to be uneducated. And that was her reason for wanting us to be raised here in the United States, was so that we could get an education. And she would always tell me, I'll never forget this, el saber es poder, mija. El saber es poder. Always. I mean, I got so sick of it, I could not tell you. But I did go to college. Also, another thing that I have to give credit to before I go on is when I was 10 years old, believe it or not, my mother made me go work in the strawberry fields, picking strawberries. Okay, that was my first job. And this was in the early 70s when we still didn't have very many rights. No bathrooms, at our disposal, and the wages were horrific. I made $1.50 a flat. Do you guys know what a flat is? Okay. And because I was so slow, I'm sure everyone in the field thought, she surely is not Mexican because she cannot pick worth a damn. But I couldn't, I was a spoiled little kid. I was born in the United States, and I had, the luxury of eating when I was hungry, and, so I made $1.50 a flat. And so what I would make for the day, because I was so slow, was roughly about $6 a day. While everybody else was picking like this, 100 miles an hour, I was like a turtle. And I have to tell you, most of the time I sat there eating the strawberries, eating my profits. But it was a good experience. It was a really good experience, because many, many, many moons later, when I turned pro, I used to train at La Colonia in Oxnard with Robert Garcia. And I remember I lived in Calabasas, and I would drive past the strawberry fields every day. And, oh my God, it just I would look at those people picking all day, and I'd say, God, I remember those days, and I feel for those people because I know how hard they work. And I just always would feel so grateful that here I am, I made it in the career and the dream that I always wanted. But it's like I would just drive past and look at them and I never looked back with bad memories. I loved those times. I loved working in the field. I really did, because I had a sense of unity with everybody. Everybody helped each other. And I loved that feeling, that camaraderie, and that's what I loved in boxing, because I got the same type of camaraderie, sorry, there. And it just always made me feel so good. So I never want people to think that was something traumatizing in my life. Although a lot of kids later, a lot of Caucasian kids would say, oh my God, that was child abuse. I actually loved it. So anyway, many years later, I did get a degree in psychology. I chose psychology because I wanted to mainly see why I was so screwed up. But this would be the key to my future after boxing was over. And like I said, as many athletes, we don't think about the end of our career. We're still kind of young, and we're thinking, well, it's never going to end. But everything that goes up must come down. And it was difficult, because I had to deal with people no longer chanting my name, the rah, 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 the spotlight and the TV cameras as you walk in the ring, and you have this bloated ego. And that all goes away. It all goes away. The spotlight doesn't shine on you anymore. No one's chanting your name except my kids. Mama, give me this, give me that. And that kind of doesn't count. And all that goes away. So you have to find out something deeper, something more significant within yourself. You have to find out who you really are, because I'm not Mia St. John, the 5-time world champion. I'm something much deeper, something much deeper. But I used my degree in so many ways, and thank God. Oh, I cannot tell you. My mom is gone now, but every day I thank God for my mother who made me go to college and get a degree, because I cannot even tell you what that degree did for me. First of all, it helped me in a boxing career dominated by men. Men, like my first promoter was Don King, and then Bob Arum, and you know they tried to steal my money. But number one, being Mexican and being a college graduate, nobody was going to get their hands in my pocket. So it really did help with that. And you know, all kidding aside, like, it's very hard to take advantage of someone who's educated. It's very difficult. And so that's one of the things that helped me with. I also started a foundation because I felt that it was time for me to give back. Everything that this country had given me, everything that my family had given me, I had to give it back. And that's the way my mother raised me. We don't just leave a country and come here and get all the benefits and then leave our family and our friends and everybody behind. We don't do that. That's not how I was raised. So I started a program, and of course, what did I name it? I'll give you one guess. I named it El Saber es Poder. I started my first program for Latinos in Mexico in barrios that did not have electricity, internet, none of the advanced technologies. So what we ended up doing was putting in electricity, internet, and providing computers for all the kids, just to bring them up to date, because a lot of our families were farm workers and didn't have that privilege. So we did that. And I started programs in the United States, in East LA, Santa Monica, Oxnard, Riverside County, for kids that were suffering from mental illnesses, addiction, homelessness, whatever. All programs are free. And that was my way of giving back, as well as the degree also helped me with my son, who was diagnosed with schizophrenia at the age of 17. And I lost him at the age of 24. So when men say that women can't withstand the pain, I will tell you, I don't know many men that can withstand everything that I went through in my life. And I owe all that to women, the women that raised me, my friends, and right now my daughter, Paris, who saves my life every day by giving me strength, courage, and love. I retired last year, and now I devote my entire life. Thank you so much. Thank you. I now devote my life to these kids and adults that we help, and I guess my mother really was a strong woman after all. You know, as a kid, we don't really appreciate our parents until they're gone. And now I really, really appreciate my mom. I have to leave you with this. My mom always said, before she died, before she got sick, she would say, I hope that one day your kids treat you exactly how you treated me. And I swear to God, she put the Latino curse on us, because my kids ended up treating me exactly how I treated my mother. And I can't even complain about it. I just say, yep, you did it, Mom, the curse. But I want to leave you with my 3 favorite quotes. 2 of them my mom used to just ingrain in my head every day. El saber es poder. Sí se puede. My mom always told me that we can do anything. And I'll end with Viva la Mujer. So give all of you out there a hand, women and men. Thank you. My daughter, Paris.
That was beautiful, Mom. You always know how to... Well, trust me, we have our fair share of, our dynamic. But she always knows how to share her story, and no matter what she's gone through, and be able to come out on top. The way I meant to phrase that was she's able to go through anything, come out on top, and be able to share her story at the end of it all. And it's still not done, and you still have so much more to accomplish, Mom. And so thank you for allowing me to be here with you, Mom. I'm gonna do this in a little more laid-back way. I don't even know where to begin because there's so many thoughts going on in my own little brain of mine. So, well, first, I actually just want to put you. And I want to thank not just my mom for allowing me to be here because, she's really the person that has opened me up to this world and given me the ability to have a voice or a vehicle to do so because she's already in this world. But it is my passion that carries me through. But I also want to thank everybody who is contributing to this summit and to lead, and the creators of such a great movement for all of you guys, and I want to thank all of you guys for allowing me to be here and to share my thoughts. And so I guess I'll just get right into it. So I'm here because I have a passion. I have a passion for being real with all of you guys. And I want to see the world change from this point of view. I do. So it's crazy. It's like I have so much stage fright. It's bananas. But I want to... Does this mic? Perfect. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to come around and all around. I want to walk around, have the freedom. So let's start this again, shall we? I'm screwing it all up. But there's something that I want to change the world with. And I want us to, it's like I care about every single person being able to be themselves. And it's so hard to do. It's so hard to do. And from my experience, that's because I grew up in a world where I wasn't really encouraged to be able to know that I belong no matter what. And I know that that's a message that we try to share nowadays, especially. But I want this to be the way that we go out into the world, and it's the first thing we think of. You want to know the first thing I think of when I wake up? Oh my God, I wake up like this. I just shaved my head recently. I'm letting it grow out. And I think, like, I'm not allowed to be myself. You know, I think about just how incapable I am in the world. And I want to start changing that. So I love these speeches, the opportunity I get to be able to figure out, like, be able to, like, find my way and figure out how I can really live my truth and be able to share that with people. And I gave a speech almost a year ago, and that was at a women's conference. It was all females, and that was a really great opportunity because I was just really starting to figure out who I was independent of everybody else, especially as a female, right? Because there's only two genders that divide the human race, and that's female and male. So that really is an important dynamic, and so I was really starting to figure out who I am, not even just as a woman, but as a human being. And I was telling the girls there that we're so obsessed with fitting the expectation as a woman, as a female. And I was sharing the idea that what if we're the ones who define who we are? And that's such an important role for a female to do, to say that this is what I think is important, that women have more contribution than just the expectations that are on us, like looking pretty, you know, whatever society's norms are of that day and age. That we're more than that we can control our own lives, that we don't need people to like us. And live our life from that place of authority. And so now being here with you guys today, we are a collective. We've got a lot of different kinds of people here today. It's not just women. And so as people, you know, every single person really can be thinking about how we can be more than what the world said we had to be. So from that last talk, I went home, and for the last year, I have been figuring out really how I can stand for that. And how I can, let's say, live from a place of, you know, I'm living my life for me. This topic today I heard was about diversity and strong women, I think. Let's be fair, strong people, okay? Not only women, like, need to fight to be strong. Diversity. And that is perfect for where I'm at, because I have worked so hard since that last talk that I gave about women empowerment. And I'm finding that, you know, it really is not just about being a strong, powerful female, but about being a strong, powerful person. And living for yourself no matter what boundaries or hardship we individually go through. For me, let me share with you what it meant for me to embrace diversity. Because diversity to me is the opposite of discrimination. Discrimination is the way that we first wake up in the morning. Well, a lot of us, I believe. It's that mindset. Even if we're out of the dark ages of the deepest types of discrimination like slavery and gender inequality and, genocide and really terrible times, there's still a lot of discrimination
that's living in our world within ourselves. And that has to do with judgment and bias and dividing each other and stigmas. And so the opposite of that is diversity. And diversity to me, you could write this, take notes please, because I want to change the world. Starting with you guys. Diversity is understanding that we are all different and that we give our own definition of what it means to be alive. So even if I might not fit the definition of what you think I should be, that's okay, because we're supposed to be diverse. Nobody has the right definition to living their life. So for me, diversity, growing up, I wish I would have embraced what made me different. I wish I would have embraced my big, curly, frizzy hair. I wish I would have embraced body hair on a female. I'll just come out and say it. And my creativity and just saying whatever I want to say. So me being up here, it's like I'm getting used to what it feels like to do what I want. And of course, in respect, hopefully, to, those around me. But it's not about fitting in and conforming to what you think people want you to be, because you give your own definition to what life is. And so I'm getting used to being okay with just being myself. We have to get past what's holding us back. It's these judgments. And if you can just be free, regardless, whatever you want to be. You don't have to grow your armpit hair out like I'm doing right now. You don't have to shave your head. But that for me right now is showing me that I'm good enough as it is. So I want to do a little meditation with you guys, if you don't mind. I'm going to steal this chair. And I'm going to invite you guys to all close your eyes and imagine the love that exists in the room right now. And if you don't want to participate, feel free to just, get lost in your own mind and daydream and whatnot. But let's all connect to why we're really here. Like why we're not just in this room right now, but why our hearts are beating, why we were born. And I want us to connect to our heart, to the love that exists. And let's get outside our minds for just a minute. And I want you to know that no matter what, this world is yours. And you have a purpose greater than your fears. You have a purpose greater than the way you look to other people. You are here for a bigger reason than anything you can think of right now. Because in 100 years, none of us will be here anymore. So keep closing your eyes and keep connecting to the universal love that exists beyond decades and beyond culture, beyond your circumstances and connect with who you are right now. And for the next 30 seconds or so, I also want you to think about what you feel has made you insecure. These weaknesses, the fears. And I want you to just for a second embrace it all. Because people don't really talk to you about this. They never talked about it in school, really. So I want you to give yourself the time right now to think about you, what really matters, because you are the person you take with you every day. So connect with and embrace what you feel like makes you less than. And remember that we all share that same human nature. And that the insecurities don't even matter. Because you are not just your thoughts, you are not just the weaknesses. Your heart wouldn't be beating if you weren't strong, if who you were wasn't the definition of strong and loving and amazing. Now, for a second, think about all of your strengths. Think about what you love about you. Think about, any little thing that makes you stand out. So now we have connected with all of who we are. And that it's your birthright to give that authentic version of yourself to the world, no matter what judgments people place upon you, no matter what insecurities you place on yourself, because there is greater work to be done, and that is you being yourself and allowing the person next to you to be themselves. I want to end with a dream that I had. I had a dream. I have so many dreams that are important, but I had a dream where I was sitting in a room like this, and they were all doing like emotional art therapy. Really focusing on what matters, not just like going to work and going to school, but really processing how we feel about ourselves. And there was a boy that came up to speak, and he had a lisp. He had a lisp, but he talked like this. And I remember thinking, that is so cool. And there were some people like laughing and making fun of him. Not to say that if anybody has a lisp in here, I'm not saying that that's something to laugh at. But in my dream, there were people laughing. And to me, that was a symbol of like, okay, this person is different than, or speaks differently. But I remember like all of us in the room in my dream, we understood that that person has an equal right to have a voice, and that we needed that person. I saw his strengths more than anything. So I really, really, really want to leave you with that, to embrace all of our differences. And thank you. Me and my hairy armpits are going to go relax and go chill out.
Gracias. Que vive la mujer. Que vive la mujer.
Viva la my hair.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to switch to our next speaker, because the only thing between us and lunch is the next speaker. Okay? So we're going to invite our next speaker to come on. Our next speaker will be introduced by Aurora Vilchis. First of all, let's congratulate Aurora on her new position on campus. She is now, she is now the Early Start and Coyote First Step Coordinator for the Office of Undergraduate Studies. There you go. And she is a doctoral candidate, cohort 10. There you go. In the Educational Leadership Program here at Cal State. Okay? So all yours, Aurora.
Thank you, Dr. Murillo. I want to also say, you know, the reason why I started the doctoral program was really because of events like LEAD really is the platform to inspire me to really continue research and be that small percentage of number and see that grow. Latina doctors, we need more of them, right? And so I was really, really inspired and moved, and Dr. Murillo is going to serve as my dissertation committee chair. So thank you very much, Dr. Murillo. So I have the wonderful privilege of being able to introduce our next speaker, and the topic that she's going to talk about and share her story is so important and such a historical moment for ethnic studies, for Mexican American studies, for our Latinx youth in the high school system. So she comes to us from Tucson, Arizona. I was sharing with her yesterday, yes, that my grandfather was born in Bisbee, Arizona as well, near the border, near his father came from Sonora, Mexico, and he was a copper miner, so I felt my connection to her with her Arizona roots. But Maya is currently a student at University of Arizona. She's majoring in computer science, and she has a real passion for communications and technology, and being part of this momentous and historical case has her thinking about law school. So we're going to encourage her, right? Grad school. Yeah, Maya. So she currently also is performing as a mariachi singer. She is wonderful. You can look her up on YouTube, which I did and heard her, and I want to encourage her to continue that passion of sharing her art. But really, she's going to come and talk about some of the issues that were going on in the Tucson Unified School District and a really terrible decision that was made, but we're so glad that there has been now victory, that she will share about the victory in Arizona. And so with that, I would like to introduce Maya Arce.
Hello, everybody. Once again, my name is Maya Arce. I first off want to thank everybody for being here and thank everybody from the LEAD conference for inviting me to speak at this great event. I'm really thankful for that. I'm just going to share my personal experience with being a plaintiff in a historic lawsuit that challenged the state of Arizona and ARS 15-112, the law that was created by state officials to target and ban the Mexican American Studies program in the Tucson Unified School District. So, for those of you who may not be familiar with this law, here is a little summary of it. According to the state of Arizona, the Mexican American Studies classes were found in violation of these provisions, which included promoting the overthrow of the government, promoting resentment towards a race or class of people, designed for peoples of a particular ethnic group, and advocating ethnic solidarity rather than treating people as individuals. So these provisions here were listed were believed to be the things that were going on in the Mexican American Studies courses at Tucson Unified School District, when no state official had even made a visit to one classroom. They were just so bothered that Latinos were reading classic Latino literature like Occupied America or many others like that. So this was just an attack on my community and my family. This is just a timeline of the legal challenge. When I became a plaintiff, I was in 8th grade. So it was right before I was going into high school, right before I would have been able to take a Mexican American Studies course, and I was denied that. It was in 2012 when the case became Maya Arce versus Hupendal State of Arizona, which challenged the law's constitutionality based on the First and 14th Amendment. From there, the case had moved to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in San Francisco, which then remanded the case back to the U.S. District Court for trial. This trial was this summer, and it was 10 long days. Preparing for this trial included me being deposed for 3 hours by the state attorney on the side of Arizona. And it was really intense and a high-pressure process for me. And my lawyer, Richard Martinez, prepared me, and he was like, she's going to be mean, she's going to try to make you nervous, she's going to just want you to say anything that could sound wrong. So just be calm and tell the truth because you have nothing to hide. And she was pretty scary. But I knew that we would win because I couldn't imagine how the state could prove that Mexican American Studies courses were harmful to students in any way. This is just a piece of a transcript from my testimony in trial this summer. This was also really nerve-wracking because this case had been going on for almost 8 years, and this was like the last step. And I just really wanted all of not only my hard work, but my family's and the whole communities to, mean something. I'll read a little bit of what I said. I decided to become a plaintiff because I believe in standing up for what I think is right, and I believe that I am a voice for those who otherwise may not be heard, for my ancestors, for my community members, and generations to come. And it says sorry there because I got choked up. I started crying. I was looking at my tata in the front row, and he was bawling. And him and my grandparents grew up in segregated classrooms in Tucson, Arizona, same schools that I went to. They had their Mexican American culture and language literally beaten out of them in school. And that's why they didn't teach my parents Spanish, because they had that fear. They were discouraged from speaking Spanish or discouraged from embracing their own culture. And that's just really sad to me. That was one of the main driving forces that I had continuing to be a plaintiff in this case. Next, I want to take a little time to speak about one woman who inspired me and continues to inspire me, which is my grandmother, Anita Padilla Markham. And she recently passed away, but this one story she had told me about when she was at Safford Elementary School, which is where I went to middle school. She had started and only spoken Spanish, and all the kids who spoke in Spanish were in one classroom. It's called like EC or something like that. And one time she said something in Spanish because that was the only language she knew, and her teacher had thrown her in a trash can, her 6-year-old body in a trash can, and her knees were hurting, and she couldn't even get out, and she was humiliated in front of her classroom. Another story, my great-grandmother on my mom's side, Carmen Sanchez, who had also gone to Safford earlier, said that they would throw nets over the Mexican-American elementary students and pour lice powder all over them because they must be dirty. They all must have lice because they're just dirty. And these stories are part of why it's so important to teach this history in our schools and why it's so important to have ethnic studies, because people living today are still dealing with this trauma. Students today deal with their own trauma from experiencing racism. And ethnic studies is one way to begin to heal that. to heal our communities. We need it. I'm going to take this time to dedicate a song. I'm a singer in a mariachi, to dedicate this song to both of my grandmothers. Is there a wireless microphone? It is What a Difference a Day Makes by Dina Washington, but it's going to be in Spanish. Edie Gourmet, which was one of my grandmother's favorite artists at the time, redid the song in Spanish. So, yeah, here it goes.
Cuando vuelva a tu lado, no me niegues tus besos, que el amor que te he dado no podrás olvidar. No me preguntes nada, que nada de explicarte, y el tiempo que negaste ya no lo puedes dar. Cuando vuelva a tu lado y estés solo conmigo, las cosas que te digo no repitas jamás. Por compasión, une tu labio al mío y estréchenme tus brazos y cuenta los latidos de nuestro corazón.
Thank you. Thank you. So, some evidence that allowed our judge, Tashima, to see that this law was driven by racial animus was that John Huppenthal, who was the superintendent of schools at the time of the banning, had written anonymous blog posts using a fake name and talking about all of the teachers saying racist things about our program. And of course, he was under oath, so he had to admit that that was him. And that was just really great for us because they got to see what these people were actually thinking when they wrote this bill. He said things like Mexican American Studies equals KKK in a different color. The rejection of American values and embracement of the values of Mexico in La Raza classrooms is the rejection of success and embracement of failure. So those are all things that he said, and that just goes to show that so many people who are in charge of our schools, who are involved in education, think this way. And maybe they're just not vocal about it. And this is the same anti-Mexican sentiment that we are experiencing right now with our president. So, finally, the law was ruled unconstitutional and confirmed that there was racial animus. Our judge ruled this on August 22nd, 2017, and it set a legal precedent for the first time for Chicano and Chicana studies in the federal courts. It showed that K-12 Chicano studies are proven effective in engaging Raza youth, closes the achievement gap, increases graduation rates as recorded in the trial. And this decision has allowed for the expansion of ethnic studies, just like how we are witnessing here in California. Another cool thing is that this case served precedent recently, allowing DACA to move forward in response to Donald Trump's attack on DACA, as well as serving precedent in denying Trump's Muslim ban in the courts. So that was just a little bit of my experience, and I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen, and viva la mujer!
Que viva la mujer! Viva! Maya, just amazing and inspirational, and thank you so much for sharing your story and your gift of your voice. At this time, we have a little bit of time for a question. If somebody would like to come to the microphone here in the middle and ask Maya a question. Oops, there was no microphone.
Well, hello. My name is Joanne Lozano, and I am from the Puente Project. And I just wanted to say that your story personally hits home because I do have undocumented family in Tucson currently, and one of them is actually a graduate from the University of Arizona. So it makes me really happy to see you advocating for causes like these because I've seen through them how they're deprived of their culture when it's literally like not even just miles away from the border. Just visiting them, I've actually had to bring tortillas y conchas from California just for them to have some of their culture because they don't even have local panaderias or any like markets like we have over here. It's crazy the difference between California and other states. In California, we truly live in a bubble. So my question to you is that what advice would you give to others about advocating and speaking up about issues that they're passionate about, despite knowing that there is potential for backlash?
I think it just comes down to how much you're willing to sacrifice and to not be scared, because the worst that can happen is that you fail and you try again. So just try your hardest and don't give up, and don't worry about the negative people that are because there's always gonna be negative people, no matter what you're doing or what you believe in. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Órale, raza. Muy bien. Okay. We want to honor Maya Isabel today, so if we can stand up. With much gratitude, Maya Isabel, for your accomplishments in service to our community, we would like to award you our Lead Education and Advocacy Medallion of Honor. If you want to say maybe any closing thoughts?
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Lead. I really appreciate this. The struggle is not over. I was just a part of helping a little piece, and I am grateful for everyone that has come before me, and I hope that I've inspired more people. Thank you.
Okay, gracias a todos. Okay, so it's lunchtime. So listen to me. Don't wait, hold on. I was like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? Okay, tenemos hambre, I know. Okay, so this year we have complimentary lunch. But for the first folks who checked in, so if you have a wristband, you're okay. If you have a green, then you're okay. All right? The food is in the back, thanks to partial sponsorship from Cardenas. Okay, so there's 2 stations. Okay, but wait. We have volunteers who are going to basically release your table. Okay, so volunteers, raise your hand. Okay, so we're going to start with the tables up here in the front. So if you can just hold off a few minutes, get your lunch, and come back and sit down. In 20, 25 minutes, we want to start again, okay? So see you in about 20 or 25 minutes. Yeah, let's take some pictures.
Wow, that was a pretty amazing, first of all, song, I have to say. She did an amazing job at that song. And then
her story.
The strength and courage,
Yes,
right, to go
absolutely.
through that. Wow, that was very, very impressive.
It really was. And she's so young, right? I don't even know how old she is, but she started singing at age 7.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a mariachi performer. I love mariachi.
Me too. I enjoyed that. Well, and it was a great rendition, but more importantly, her going up against those that, thought that this was a good thing.
Right.
When in reality, so many were talking about it across the U.S., very controversial. And at the same time, we were saying, why is this happening?
Yes.
Who's going to challenge this? And to be able to see Maya here actually do that very thing is very encouraging. And Maya, let's watch your step right there. Maya, wow, we were just talking about you. Congratulations on a victory. That entire time of doing that, the strength and the courage that it took to do that, was there ever a moment that you thought, am I doing the right thing, or were you all the way resilient throughout?
I always knew that I was doing the right thing, but there was times where I would question if we would be victorious in the end. We'd had to go back and forth through different courts, and it was just hard. Other people were so confident that we would lose. Some people were confident we would win, and but I stuck through it because I knew that it's right what I was doing, and I'm just glad that we came out victorious.
Yeah, what an awesome story. You also mentioned something about your parents not being or they didn't speak Spanish. And so you sing in Spanish beautifully.
Thank you.
But I'm wondering, with the world the way we have it, and it's so easy to assimilate, what do you think kept you so connected to your roots?
I think my parents did. They were both in Mecha at the University of Arizona, and they had put me in a bilingual elementary school, which I was really fortunate enough to go to because I know more Spanish than them now, and so.
It's good though, by the way. Yeah, I'm still trying to catch up.
You can tell secrets instead of the adults telling secrets.
Exactly.
That's awesome. How old are you?
20.
Oh my gosh! And so what does tomorrow look like for you?
I'm just trying to finish school. Maybe work for Google one day, something like that.
Like a tech person? Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, like web design, something like that. Yeah.
Very nice. And do you have siblings?
Yes, I have a younger brother who's 16.
I'm sure incredibly moved by your story, I assume.
Yeah, but he's just a little brother, so he's always going to tease me and be like, you're not cool.
Well,
mentorship opportunity.
Exactly, mentorship. And it's funny because the stories that we hear the end result, but we don't know the journey that it took to get there. And in so doing, you've obviously inspired an entire room. I'm glad you shared this with us because I remember when that victory came through and I thought, wow, well, thank goodness. But at the same time, I didn't think, well, who was the person? So to be standing right next to you is truly an honor. You got the medallion of honor to prove that it's an honor.
Yes.
How does that feel?
It feels great. I'm very honored. Yeah.
We appreciate you.
And
Thank
that
you for
voice
doing.
on her,
Yes.
though.
How do we find your voice
Yes.
online? How do we get CDs or?
I don't have any CDs. There might be videos on YouTube.
Wait, is it? We need a recording
Yeah,
label
future artist
contract
right
right here.
Future
That was
artist.
beautiful, by the way. What was the name of that?
Thank you. It was Cuando Vuelva a Tu Lado. I'm also sick, so it was not. I didn't think it was my best, but I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it.
We could not tell, seriously. But if that's your sick, then yes, we want that. We want your good day on CD. So.
Let's take a quick photo. I'm sure.
Oh, are we
no
going to
one-
do that? Okay, let's. Oh, wow. Okay.
okay, well,
so
I
we're
mean-
taking a photo while you guys are watching and
No,
tuning
but this
in.
is fun.
We're,
I mean, it's
we're,
great.
we're taking
Oh,
our opportunity. Everybody's
no.
taking a break. So if you want to take a break, continue to do so here. We are at LEAD 2018. We appreciate you for tuning in. We're going to take a quick, slight break after this,
Yes.
and then we'll be right back with more of Latino Education Advocacy Days 2018.
Wait, let's
Stay
end with a
tuned.
grito.
I cannot do it.
She
Next
poor
time,
thing.
next
She
time.
barely forget that. Yeah, she barely got that. Okay.
My first year, you had to take a test prior to enrolling in the school. Unfortunately, I didn't do so well on those two tests that I was placed in remedial classes. Those classes that I was placed in were classes where the math and English were just so basic and it's just so easy that I passed with flying colors, but now I'm actually behind. So it's going from feeling behind to actually being behind.
Obstacles that are often faced by CSU students are that there are a shortness of seats available for courses. So you get students that are enrolled in a variety of courses that they don't need because they need to fill their schedule in order to continue to receive financial aid. However, they're missing out on the opportunity of taking the courses that they have to take to graduate because those have been filled.
I think the CSU is making strides to help students. It really starts with every campus educating students. If you want to graduate in 4 years, 15 units a semester is the way to go from the moment you step foot on campus. And even though 12 may be the minimum to receive financial aid, I noticed that more campuses are starting to push that graduation initiative. If you want to do it in 4, 15 units a semester is the way to go.
One of the things that has really helped has been academic advising. Because I'm required to go to academic advising before I sign up for my classes, I'm able to ensure that the course load that I am taking isn't overworking me too much.
My path to graduation has definitely not been easy, but even just in the last year, I've seen a lot of changes in our administration and in our campus. Without the opportunity to take summer classes, which I've done every single year I've been in the CSU, I would not be able to graduate on time. And I know the reason that those summer classes are offered are because of the work done behind the graduation initiative.
I know that the CSU, having these opportunities like I have at CSU Stanislaus, is absolutely changing my life and pointing me in a great direction for my future. And I can't wait to go out as a CSU Stanislaus alumni and represent my school.
Este es nuestro planeta. Esta es nuestra comunidad. Y aquí está nuestro hogar. En este momento, el mundo en que vivimos necesita nuestra ayuda. Necesita la innovación, la conservación, las artes. El mundo en que vivimos necesita avances en tecnología para mejorar la seguridad cibernética. Necesita avances médicos en la ciencia de la salud y del comportamiento. Lo que necesita el mundo es a ti. Lo que antes parecía fuera del alcance ya está enfrente de nosotros, listo para que lo tomemos. Redefinir las posibilidades y abrazar lo desconocido, formar nuevas ideas y establecer expectativas más altas para las futuras generaciones. Somos una institución construida sobre la creencia de que existe algo más grande que nosotros mismos. En este momento, nuestro mundo necesita personas que puedan ver la oportunidad cuando otros no pueden, enfrentar lo que parece imposible y dar nueva vida al ordinario y mirarlo como extraordinario. Nuestro mundo necesita liderazgo, y aquí es donde se hacen los líderes. Ven y únete a nosotros. Da forma a tu futuro, creando un mañana mejor. Ven a CSUSB.
I'm Jay Feeney, Dean of the College of Education. Welcome to CSUSB. Our students are sought out. Our candidates are the first choice of the employing districts in the Inland Empire. Whether you want to be a teacher of elementary students, middle school students, secondary students, whether you want to be a counselor, you want to be a school psychologist, you want to work in rehabilitation counseling, you want to be an assistant principal, a principal, CSUSB is your place. In California, all teachers, all educators are required to hold a bachelor's degree. That's your point of entry. That's the way that you get into the College of Education. From there, we give you a world-class program focused on being humane, equitable, and socially just for all students. These programs are programs that not only provide the floor of what is required by the California Teaching Credentialing Commission, but we've also partnered with our local districts to make sure that you are preloaded with some of the professional development needs that they require of their educators. That means that when you go, you will already know some of the things beyond the basics that their professional educators know. Your first years will be easier because you did it at CSUSB. We believe education is a lifelong learning venture, but in particular, our graduate programs focus on theory to practice. So whether it's a master's in special education, instructional technology, educational leadership, or a variety of others, you're going to be experiencing things where you learn the cutting edge, high-level research, and you practice it here to solve problems in the Inland Empire. In fact, our counseling and guidance program is ranked in the top 25 in the nation.
Housed at California State University San Bernardino, LEAD, the Latino Education and Advocacy Days, serves as an umbrella organization for innovative projects, programs, and events for the Latino community. LEAD's impact and success is grounded on solid research, collaboration, participation, and outreach. LEAD's marquee event, the annual Latino Education Advocacy Day Summit, draws tens of thousands of people in person and watching from around the world. The event tackles issues specific to Latinos and showcases working solutions from around the nation. LEAD also addresses local issues at the Feria Educativa College and Career Fair to promote college-going opportunities for local Latino families. The LEAD organization depends on significant participation and partnerships in the region and nationally, and strong interactive connections with Latino networks in the U.S. and Latin America, and with indigenous peoples throughout the world. The various LEAD networks agree there are important issues that directly or indirectly affect higher education institutions and the multiple communities they straddle. Those issues require colleges and universities to do the action work that is most relevant for their respective local communities, and in such a way that they can be used to inform and shape policy. Put simply, the LEAD movement engages the Latino community, and the singular most achievable solution to our educational dilemma lies in community activism and democratic participation. Netroots is one way to describe the LEAD organization's methods of awareness raising, education, promotion, advocacy, activism, analysis, discussion, critique, and dissemination of educational issues that impact Latinos. The word is a combination of internet and grassroots, reflecting the technological innovations, participatory democracy, and campaign-oriented activities that set LEAD's techniques apart from other forms of education and advocacy.
Are you ready to make a difference in the Latino community? Are you ready to connect with and be part of Latino educational leadership? Are you ready to find cross-sector solutions to improve the education and lives of all students?
Raise your hand, step in, and get involved.
Please join us as we convene those sharing a common interest